we finally got the rest of the TRAPTRIX support with the new selection pack. So I wanted to cover some basic combos with it first. This is still not a super heavy combo deck. This is still more of a mid-range deck, so the combos aren't too complex. So it's just some basic lines of play that I think you should know with the new cards. So first combo is Myrmelio plus any trap. It could also be any TRAPTRIX monster if you specifically open Holitea as well, since Myrmelio is going to be searching Holitea in this combo if you don't already have it. So just assume we say we normal summon Myrmelio, and we'll add the Holitea to our hand if we didn't already have it. Next, you'll make Sarah with it. Set Holitea that you searched, and discard any trap. Let's say we discard another hole. The little special Holitea and Sarah will trigger, and we'll get a Dionea from our deck. If we discarded a trap hole card, summoning Dionea will reset the trap hole to our field anyways, and we'll get it back. We'll trigger Sarah to get us another trap hole from her deck. And then you go into Rafflesia with Dionea and Holitea. And now this is basically with Myrmelio plus any trap, you got a Rafflesia, which is will activate a trap card from your deck. You got another trap hole that you searched, and obviously the trap hole you discarded for Holitea you got back. Then that's with just 2 cards, and this is like a basic line that the deck has now, that you can actually search an extender from your deck now instead of hard drawing it like you had to before with Shade Rikunin. And now a bonus is, let's say we go to your opponent's turn, right? Let's activate Rafflesia's effect, and we'll detach Holitea to the grave. And we'll activate the correct trap hole. That will trigger Sarah, so we get another trap hole search from our deck. And during the end phase, you could use Holitea in the grave that you detached off your Rafflesia to special summon back a TRAPTRIX monster from your grave. Since we started with Myrmelio, you can summon back Myrmelio. And then you summon back Myrmelio will pop it back where your opponent controls. So yeah, you get, not only is the Holitea an extender, you can also use it during your opponent's turn to trigger your TRAPTRIX monster's special summon effects too. So you saw that Myrmelio is now a 1.5 card combo with itself and any other trap. That's the similar case for Mantis too. Mantis plus any other trap is also now a competent combo in the deck. In this case we have, for example, we have Mantis and Gravedigger's trap hole. So first, summon Mantis. Mantis will add Arachnocampa. Arachnocampa is basically just a new extender for a deck where you can special summon it if you control a TRAPTRIX monster. So go into Sarah first with Mantis. And next, activate Arachnocampa to special itself. And that will trigger Sarah to set your Holitea from the deck. Next, activate Holitea by ditching a trap card. In this case, since we ditched a trap card, we could use Sarah to special summon Dionea from the deck. And Dionea's effect will activate to reset the trap card that we just discarded. And you could just use these two to go into Rafflesia right away with an Arachnocampa on field, so that, and Arachnocampa has an effect where it protects your spell and trap cards. Or you could go into Alamaris with Dionea and Holitea. Just use 2. Alamaris can use any number of level 4 monsters to exceed it. We'll go over that later. Use Alamaris effect, detaching 2, special summoning back the Mantis, and use Mantis to put the Gravediggers back to your hand, and then you can make Rafflesia that way. This works. You would do this if you had more than one trap card to set, so that way they wouldn't know which one of your trap cards is which. Obviously, that doesn't really apply here because we only have the one Gravedigger's Trap Hole, but you know, it's just a way to shuffle up your back row so that they won't know exactly which traps they're dealing with. What's important to note is, because we went through Arachno Campo, special summoning Arachno Campo locks us into insects or plant monsters from the extra deck for the rest of the turn. So, in this case, the only thing we could really make was Rafflesia. In the first combo with Myrmelio, since we didn't go through Arachno Campo, we weren't locked into insects or plants from the extra deck yet, so we could have gotten into something like any rank 4, like say a Redoer, for example, with a trap underneath it if we wanted to, instead of the Rafflesia. Here with the Mantis combo, we're forced to go into Rafflesia, basically. So the last Mantis line was alright and all, ending on basically the Rafflesia and a trap card, but there's another line you can do with Mantis and a trap that I think is a little bit cooler, and it uses the new package that we run in the extra deck. So normal summon Mantis. Again, this is the same. Add Arachno Campa and make Sarah. And trigger Arachno Campa. Specialing it, which will trigger Sarah to set the Holy Tea from the deck. And Holy Tea, pitch your trap card. Sarah will special summon Dionea to reset the trap hole that we just pitched. And now, our board right now is 3 level 4 monsters plus a Sarah. So, it's not quite enough to go into 2 rank 4 Xyz, so you'll always have like a material left over if you want to go into a rank 4 immediately. So, instead, what we're going to do is overlay Arachno Campa and one of either Holy Tea or Dionea into Rikka Queen Strenna. Joshua Schmidt Rikka Jump Scare. Next, make sure you summon it to one of a zone that's diagonal to an extra monster zone. Then you link Sarah and Holy Tea, or Dionea if you succeeded with the Holy Tea, into Aromaseraphy Jasmine. Use Rikka Queen Strenna's effect to detach Dionea, to add the Dionea back to your hand for follow-up on the next turn. And then Aromaseraphy Jasmine will tribute Strenna to special summon Pudica from the deck. And then Strenna will activate the special summon Sacred Tree Beast Hyperiton and attach the Strenna. So now you have a monster negate. Then you link your Pudica into another Sarah. So with this board, the same setup as the last combo. Instead of ending on just Rafflesia and a leftover monster on board, now you have a monster negate, a Sacred Tree Beast Hyperiton with a trap and a trap check Sarah, and you have a Pudica engraved in circulation. So what does Pudica do? Well, on our opponent's turn, right? So our opponent's come on, AI. Okay. Say our opponent special summons a monster. Okay, get rid of that. We're not I don't want you to click that hard AI. This is our opponent's specials monster. You can use the Holy Teia engrave now. Banishing itself to special summon the Pudica from your grave. And when Pudica is special summoned, you quick effect banishes one special summon monster your opponent controls until their next standby phase. And of course that will also trigger your Sarah to set another trap card from your deck. And of course they'll get it back if this could be special summon back. So yeah, with this setup you get instead of just having a Rafflesia, you have a monster negate plus you with Pudica in circulation, your Holy Teia becomes a monster disruption as well for any special summon monster. Now speaking of Pudica, hard drawing Pudica enables a whole line of combos on its own. So first let's do Pudica plus Myrmelio, because when you normal summon Pudica, it will add you your field spell. So link off into Sarah with your Pudica, then activate the field spell. Don't activate this effect yet. This is the field spell effect is you banish the TRAPTRIX monster, special summon a TRAPTRIX monster that you don't need to activate the TRAPTRIX Garden effect to get the extra normal summon. Now you'll normal summon your extra TRAPTRIX monster, Myrmelio. And Myrmelio will add us any trap we want, really. Let's add Terrifying Tropical Nightmare to switch it up. And that will trigger Sarah, which will set the Holy Teia. Activate Holy Teia. Discard the trap we just searched. This will trigger Sarah. We get the Dionea from our deck. Then the Dionea will get the back Terrifying Trap Hole. And you see, we have the same setup as we had before. So, Strenna. Add back the Dionea for follow-up. Go into Jasmine with Holy Teia and Sarah. Tribute the Strenna. Get another Pudica from deck. Activate Strenna. Get the Hyperiton. Attach the Strenna back. And make our Sarah. Now we can also, the second Pudica we summon, if for some reason this isn't your first turn, you could have banished it to special summon back to Myrmelio, and Myrmelio every time it's summoned pops a card. So yeah, this is the same setup and enables us to go for the Aromatherapy Jasmine line plus Hyperiton line with Myrmelio if we hard draw Myrmelio and Pudica. You know, with a trap, of course. You know, this deck is still technically it is still a trap deck. You do need a trap card to combo just to say that this is a trap deck. And of course, Pudica also combos with Mantis. Only this time it's not just a 2-card combo; it's a 2.5 card combo since you do need the extra trap card. Since obviously Mantis does not start to a trap, but you can get a lot further with this one than even the last Myrmelio combo. So normal Pudica, get us our field spell, go into Sarah, activate Garden, normal summon Mantis, and Mantis will trigger, adding us our Arachnocampo, and then Sarah will trigger, setting Holy Teia, activate Holutea, pitch, and Sarah can get us our Dionea. We can reset the Holutea if we want. So now, we do actually have the extra extender now. So with this line, you can actually go double rank 4. So a lot of people, you can go double Rafflesia. That's pretty popular because Rafflesia is not a hard once per turn, it's a once per copy of a card, so you can use both Rafflesias to send 2 separate traps during your opponent's turn, and that's plus, not to mention, Rafflesia gives Sarah protection. It's all your TRAPTRIX monsters battle and destruction protection, so that feels really hard to deal with. Or you could, before you summon Arachnocampo, you can make a Redoer with a trap and a level 4 monster. So now you have a Redoer with a trap as material, so you have a quick effect spin during your opponent's turn. And then after that you summon Arachnocampo, so you don't lock yourself yet. And now you can go into TRAPTRIX Rafflesia. So with Mantis plus Pudica and any trap, you get to make Sarah plus 2 rank 4s. And obviously, you can, whenever you detach for Redoer, you detach the Holutea. The Holutea goes to the grave, and then you have Pudica in the grave to special summon with Holutea to banish one of your opponent's monsters too. So 3 interruptions at least with just 2.5 cards. The half card you get back anyways, so it's not like you even lost that. And yeah, it's pretty good. It was very hard to make double rank 4 exceeds before the support. You had to like hard draw 2 unsearchable extenders to do it, but now your engine just does it right there. So you might have saw Parallel Exceed in my deck in some previous combos. Oh yeah, we're also running this, and Exceed by itself is also another rank 4. So what if we open like a hand full of gas like this? Now we don't have a trap card, but it's fine because we also have Pudica plus Myrmelio, and we can do that combo without a trap card. So start by summoning Pudica, get the field spell, boom, Sarah, boom, Parallel Exceed, get the second one from deck, make Rafflesia immediately. Now our Myrmelio and the rest of our plays are protected from any hand trap that's not imperm. Since we can send Gravediggers to Rafflesia anytime. Activate the garden. Normal Myrmelio. Add any trap we want to set. Let's get Floodgate this time. Trigger Sarah, set Holutea from the deck. Activate Holutea, pitch Floodgate. Trigger Sarah, get Dionea. Dionea, reset the trap card. Go into Strenna. Strenna, add back our Dionea for follow-up. Jasmine. Jasmine, tribute, Strenna. Let's get another Pudica, because why not? Strenna will activate, getting us our Hyperiton. Attach the Strenna, and make the Sarah again. Now we have the full. We have two halves of the board together. We have a Rafflesia giving us Sarah infinite protection. We have the Monster Negate. We have the Reset Trap Hole that we searched off Myrmelio, and we have the Holy Taya engraved to special summon back the Pudica. Like we got everything in this setup. So here's what I'm gonna be working with, starting out with this new support. If you'll excuse me, I don't have a second Rafflesia or a third Sarah yet. I'm working on that. Traditionally, before this deck only needed 2 Sarah and 1 Rafflesia, but obviously now, since it's much more combo heavy, these do come up a lot more. And unfortunately, I have not rolled Adipus yet. I'm working on that too, but yeah, this is the current list, and I think this support fixes a lot of the issues with traditional trap decks. One of them being that before, a lot of trap decks would just fold completely to a back row wipe, something like a Duster or a Lightning Storm. And the way this deck plays now, that's no longer the case. Well, first of all, you do have straight out have searchable protection for your back row, like from Arachnocampa. You don't need the Lord of Heavenly Prison anymore, since you already have a way to protect it at any time. So not only are they less likely to resolve, but even if they do resolve something like a Lightning Storm or a Duster, you saw in the combos, right? Only half the disruption comes from your back row, right? You have a field too. You have like 2 to 3 monsters on the field with disruptions of their own. Plus, you have a Holy Taya, which can summon monsters back from the grave, such as a Pudica to disrupt your opponent. So your disruptions come from all parts of the field, not just the back row. So even if they wipe out your back row, well, they still gotta deal with something like a Rafflesia up, or they gotta deal with a High Periton. They gotta deal with the banish of the Pudica still. And of course, you know, if you hard draw any hand traps too, it's also like that. Evenly, like evenly, it was just complete death to any trap deck. Like now, if they evenly, at the very least, you still have 2 interruptions. You get to keep your your monster of choice, so you get to keep something like a High Periton as a monster negate, or a Rafflesia just as a like a fat asshole to sit on that also sends triggers trap hole effects, and you likely also have the Pudica engraved set up with Holy Taya. So that's like still 2 interruptions after your opponent gives up their battle phase to evenly you. Alright, so that's a lot better off than trap decks normally, where if they evenly, they have 1 trap and that's it, and like no follow-up at all. And as you saw, this deck has plenty of follow-up for days. Half the time you add the Dianea back to your hand anyways. So you always have a turn 2 plan to go aggressive, a turn 3 plan to go aggressive afterwards. And another problem with trap decks was that because, you know, you're a trap deck, you can't really... Most of your traps aren't too searchable. Like, you kind of have to hard draw into your trap cards as your disruption, so sometimes you would have hands where you don't... Like, even if you were running like 20 plus trap cards, right, you're still not likely to open 4 plus traps plus 1 starter like every game, right? You're still only gonna expect to have half your hand be traps, like on average. But now you, because this is also sort of a combo deck now, you have back row that you run that you can draw into straight up, just like normal trap deck. But you also can search your trap cards with, you know, Sarah and stuff, and you put up disruption with your monsters as well, so you don't have to rely on just hard drawing your disruption. You can just access it like any old normal combo deck. And this thing about this trap deck is it's also, you have the aggressive push I mentioned. So if you have a Holy Taya engraved, right, you can easily link climb into access code, and then using Adipus. So Adipus is, if you have a normal trap in the grave, it gains 1,000. All your TRAPTRIX monsters gain 1,000 attacks. So this is 28. So you make this, then you link climb this into access code, which is 53. Then you can use your Holy Taya to actually just revive back Adipus, because Holy Taya can revive back any TRAPTRIX monster. So 53 access plus 28 Adipus is 8100, so that's straight up game on your opponent's turn. You know, if you thought like TRAPTRIX had an issue killing and ending the game quickly like most trap decks do, you would be wrong. So yeah, here's the, I guess we'll go over a card by card a bit for this deck. This is a combo deck now. You do a lot of combos, so we're running the Maxi tax, unfortunately. The Ash, Maxi, the Called By, and Called By is just, since we're in a tier and branded and bestial format, Called By is still like decent, even going second, but it just hits a lot of engine right now, not just hand traps. Triple Myrm, triple Mantis, triple Pudica, obviously. The only 2 Arachnocampus, since whenever you need this, you would just search it during a combo anyways. And Dionea is not as good of a TRAPTRIX starter as Mantis, Pudica, or Myrmelio, and you get one from the deck during your combo, and then you add the second one as follow-up later, if you need be. Oh yeah, important thing about Mantis is how you keep your Holutea live on subsequent turns. Right, since Mantis can return a set spell trap back to your hand, you usually don't reset it. Like, make sure you don't misclick and like just immediately reset it. But Mantis returning cards to your hand will trigger Sarah to set Holutea from the deck. So the idea is you have any unused trap card, you return to your hand with Mantis, Sarah will set the Holutea, and then the Holutea is live immediately the turn you set it with Sarah because you just returned a trap card as fodder with Mantis. And then obviously you can do the whole discard the trap, Holutea summon, then Sarah summon a Dionea from deck, which will reset the trap you just discarded. That's an important resource loop to know with this deck if you get into prolonged grind games. Triple Parallel Exceed, I'm running this over Shade Brigandine now because Shade Brigandine is dead after turn 1, whereas Exceed is not. Prosperity is limited. I think it should be banned, but you know we won't get into that today. The one Garden to search off Pudica. As for Evenly, I'm normally not a fan of Evenly in most decks in Master Duel because it's a dead card going first. Although it's a lot better in TRAPTRIX because, you know, in order to do your combo, you're discarding a trap card anyways. So having an evenly matched discard isn't really that bad at all. Like it's you can use it even if it's not dead or even if it's not live. It's like Runic decks running evenly where they always have to discard a card to search Fountain, so they can discard any dead cards like evenly matched that are only good going second. This is a similar idea with TRAPTRIX. The trap hole lineup: Bottomless, Nightmare, Floodgate, Double Gravediggers, Terrifying, and Holutea. The Holuteas are self-explanatory. I'm not gonna get into that. I'm running 2 Gravediggers trap hole because, again, in a format with tiers, Bestials, branded, a lot of Dragon Link, like this, Gravediggers hits multiple cards, like multiple high impact cards from every deck, and Gravediggers is obviously not a once. None of these trap holes besides Terrifying are once per turn, so you can often use multiple Gravediggers, like one set and one from Rafflesia, and there's way too many targets there is to hit. Like this can hit every hand trap as well that's not imperm, so this has the most targets in the game, and it does burn your opponent, and you can get this back and keep burning your opponent perpetually. Like if they keep trying to add tier effects, they're just gonna burn themselves to death. So yeah, there's other trap holes are just situationally useful. TRAPTRIX Trap Hole Nightmare is like a ghetto strike, very ghetto. Floodgate is good against any deck that tries to flood the board, I guess, or Link Summon, although it's not very good against fusion decks because it will not prevent from fusion something, so that's why we're only running the one tier as the fusion deck, brand as the fusion deck, so you don't want to draw too many of these against that. Bottomless Trap Hole is it destroys, which is an issue because the destruction effects, obviously you would prefer your cards not to destroy because a lot of things trigger off destruction. But at least it banishes, even though 1500 is not good against Sprite because all of their shit is way too small for this, so you don't want to run multiples. This is more like the most relevant thing this hits is normal summon Fallen Balbass, because if you noticed, nothing else in this deck besides hard drawing Infinite Imperm deals with normal summon Fallen Balbass, which is kind of an issue. That's why you bottomless it. And Terrifying Tropical Nightmare is like, so it destroys a monster and then you can banish a monster from the grave in this same effect. It's not a new effect. So say they have a Kit Kalos, right? You could Terrifying Tropical Nightmare, destroy the Kit Kalos, and then banish the Kit Kalos before it gets a chance to trigger. So you deal with that. A lot of cards, like you can also Terrifying Trap Hole Mirror Jade and then banish it. Or better yet, kill the Mirror Jade and then banish the Albion that they send off Mirror Jade. Because you don't have to banish the same monster you destroy with this card. And this is the only trap hole that doesn't have to respond to a summon or effect. You can activate it during the turn your opponent special summon. So you can at basically any time during their turn, because what kind of deck doesn't special summon these days? You can just flip this whenever, and then kill a monster with 2k more attack and banish the monster. So yeah, it has a little more flexibility there. Well, obviously, but this is a hard once per turn. This is the only trap hole we have that's a disruption. That's a hard once per turn. So obviously, having more than one of this is pointless. So yeah, just run the one. And for extra deck, 3 Sarah, 2 Rafflegias, Nita now. We have the Jasmine, Rikka, Queen Stranda, and High Periton package. Instead of High Periton, you could also run Rikka, Queen Teardrop. This is a tribute. It's not a negate, but it has 200 more attack. So just Rikka plus access code is game if that's all you have for the follow-up. Whereas obviously if Sacred Tree Beast paired High Periton, it's going to be 100 life points short. Redoer is just a nice utility exceeds. You always make this with a trap underneath it, so it's always got the good effects. Alamaris. So Alamaris, everyone that plays this knows about the Reborn effect, how you can just detach 2 and special summon any TRAPTRIX. You use this usually to summon back Myrmelio and multiple times a turn and just pop all your opponent's shit if they're playing one of those decks. But it also has an effect where if an opponent's monster leaves the field by because of your own card effect, you can detach one, then special summon that target to your field. So if you make this with like 3 materials, for example, you could use the effect of Reborn, and then later on if like something, if you like Pudica it or you banish it with one of your trap holes like Bottomless or Terrifying Tropical Nightmare, you can detach the 3rd material off Alamaris and just summon it back. It's a very niche effect, doesn't happen often, but keep in mind that you can yoink your opponent's monsters. And Pinguicula, this is just a rank 4 that lets you add any TRAPTRIX monster from your deck. And keep in mind it has another effect where if a monster owned by your opponent is removed from the field, basically, you can attach that to this card. And first of all, tier monsters, if you attach the tier monster to the Pinguicula, they don't trigger anymore. So that's another counter to those types of grave effects and stuff like that. And additionally, let's say you stole a tier monster off Pinguicula, it's unaffected by the effects of monsters of the same type as this card's material. So because you presumably stole an Aqua monster, Pinguicula is now unaffected by any Aqua monster effect, so they can't Kaleido Heart this later either. Zeus is you don't actually go into this too often because you have a lot of field presence, and Baguska is a plan B. like Baguska and Zeus is what you're most often going to get rid of with Prosperity. And then you just basically decide on, depending on your combo line, you can get rid of extra copies of Rafflesia or a Redoer depending on which rank 4 you want to go into. Probably an Allomeris, maybe Pinguicula, maybe if you don't see yourself going through the Rikka line, you can just banish the 3 Rikka package as an easy banish off Prosperity, same with the 3rd Sarah. Yeah, I think this deck is definitely capable of a deck now. It's no longer like a non-deck as it was before. This deck is real in Master Duel now, and go ahead and give it a try.